Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something that all of us feel in our daily lives, whether we are dating, single, or somewhere in between. And that's the way the internet has changed modern romance. If you imagine dating 20 or 30 years ago, we'd probably think of landline calls, handwriting letters, and hoping the other person is actually home to pick up the phone. Today, we can text to each other constantly. We FaceTime before bed, and we sweep through hundreds of people we would never met. My project focuses on how the internet reshaped romantic connection, especially long distance relationships and online dating. My video have four parts. The first one is the introduction to the topic. The second part is long distance relationships. The third part is online dating, and the last part is the paradox of choice and relationship quality. So let's begin with the introduction to the topic. Our class reading have given us several important insights into how online environments shape romantic behaviors. Let me break them down more clearly. First, research shows a growing reliance on online platforms for meeting partners. From Pew's research summary, found that online dating is now common across age groups and identities. Importantly, LGBT individuals reported much more success online. Since the internet expanded access to compatible partners beyond local communities. Another positive finding from the Pew research is that online platform actually increases the compatibility awareness. In traditional offline dating, we mostly meet people who happen to live near us, such as classmates, coworkers, friend of friends. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are compatible with our value or long-term goals. However, online dating can change that. Pew reports that many users feel they can find someone more aligned with their truly want in a partner. The filter tool helps people identify compatible much earlier in the process, and thus saves emotion energies. Instead of spending weeks figuring out whether someone wants the same thing in life, user can screen for that before the first message. So for a lot of people, online dating isn't just about access to more people. It's about access to the right kind of people. People who fit their value, their worldviews, and their personal goals. In that sense, the internet doesn't just widen the dating pool, it makes it smarter. However, there come with several problems of online dating. We discussed skepticism toward algorithm. Some adults might doubt that algorithm can predict love, even though algorithm can match people based on their shared trait. This tension trusts the tool but not the outcome, shape how people approach online dating. Finally, we cover the risk of online aggression. From cyberbullying to trolls, negative online behavior spills into romantic settings too, especially when miscommunication escalated without nonverbal cues. So, before we even talk about relationships, the internet has already changed who we met, how we present ourselves, and how we judge others and how conflict unfold. Here's what the current situation looks like in the US based on the Pew data. First of all, about 3 in 10 adults have used an online dating app or website. Also, about 1 in 10 partnered adults, meaning married, living with a partner, or in a committed relationship, meet their current partner online. So online dating is no longer a weird niche thing. It's a normal, mainstream way to start relationships. And that's part of why it is important to understand its effect. As couples started using text, email, and FaceTime more often, the total amount of contact time goes up. Instead of only talking in person or by one phone call at night, partner can spend quick updates throughout the day. Photos, texts, good luck messages, or did you get home safe messages are more common. More contact usually means more support and more satisfaction. When your partner feels constantly reachable, you feel less alone, even when your schedule are busy. So digital tools can actually deepen emotion connections when they are used well. Now, I want to focus on long distance relationships because they show very clearly how the internet can change that being together even means. Holtzman et al. Found that long-distance couple uses video, voice, and text messages more frequently than couples who live in the same place. So we can know that the internet make the communication between couples more possible. That makes sense. When you can't just grab dinner together, you rely on your phone. But the key point is that the internet makes long-distance relationships feel more possible. Instead of drifting apart, couples can actively maintain contact every day through multiple channels, such as on texting, messaging, or FaceTime. There are three aspects that internet can help long-distance couples to establish. They are shared presence, emotion co-presence, and overcoming distance. The first one is shared presence. Nusselt and Greenberg found that many long-distance couples keep video calls running for a long period. Sometimes while they are cooking, or doing homework, or just laying in bed. They aren't always talking. They just want to exist together in the same virtual space. This simulates the feeling of living together. The second one is emotionally co-presence. Digital communication lets partners exchange affections and support instantly. Holtzman et al. Show that this kind of responsiveness, quick goodnight texts, how did your exam go? This kind of messages predicts higher relationship satisfaction for long distance couples. The last one is overcoming distance. When you combine shared presence and emotional co-presence, virtual companionship starts to replace the limitation of geography. The miles don't disappear, but emotionally, partners can feel very close and constantly available to each other. Also, Mock et al. Look at how communication patterns change across distance. They found that email communication between couples have largely unaffected by distance. This means that even though they separate apart, they still email to each other very often. Also, telephone calls actually increased when partners were far apart. And with video chat, couples could have even more FaceTime just in digital forms. The interesting thing is that the face-to-face contact doesn't just disappear. It gets partly replaced by online interactions. So the internet doesn't eliminate closeness. It diversifies how couples stay in touch. Based all of this, when we step back and look at all the research together, it becomes clear that the internet hasn't just made long-distance relationships possible. It has made them genuinely sustainable and emotionally rich. Technology gives couples a new way to share their daily lives even when they are physically apart. Through video calls, voice notes, constant texting, and even simply being online together, partners can create what research calls shared presence and emotional co-presence. These forms of digital closenesses soften the emotional weight of distance. Instead waiting weeks or months to reconnect in person, couples can offer comfort and everyday support instantly. That turns long distance relationship from something fragile into something that we can feel surprisingly intimate and stable. The internet doesn't eliminate the miles between people, but it transforms how those miles affect their bond. In many ways, it allows couples to build a rhythm of connection that would have been impossible in the past. So, if long distance couples show us how the internet helps maintain relationships, online dating shows us how the internet starts them. Online dating opens the door that geography once kept closed, but also introduces new challenges. Now, I will turn to online dating, which probably affect even more people than long distance relationships do. Online dating clearly gives people more opportunity to meet each other. From Hogwarts and Ortega, discuss online platform as creating new social bridges instead of only meeting people from your school, workplace, or friend group. You can connect it with people from completely different social circles, promotes cross-cultural and interracial relationships, and greatly expand people's social network. If without the internet, many of these matches would simply never happen. Also, you might wonder if people meet online, are their relationship less stable? Research actually suggests the opposite. Hogwarts and Ortega report that marriages formed online are at least as stable as marriages formed offline, and in some studies, they may even be a bit happier. As online dating becomes a mainstream way to meet, more couples are building successful long term relationships through online platforms. So, meeting online doesn't doom a relationship at all. It can be perfectly solid foundation. However, online dating isn't purely positive. It comes with psychological risks. Castro and Barada argue that the dating apps offered both opportunity and risks. While they provide a larger pool of partners, they also expose people to things like harassment, appearance pressure, and very casual interactions that may not match what someone is really looking for. Cole and et al. Found that the couples who met online on average report slightly lower relationship satisfaction, and their affection was more vulnerable to social influence around them. So the internet can help relationships start, but it can also introduce stress and instability. When we bring all of this together, online dating emerges as a tool that radically expands how relationships begin. It gives people access to a much wider and more diverse pool of potential partners. People they will never met through school, work, or their social circles. Research shows that this matters, especially for groups with smaller dating pools, such as LGBTQ individuals or people living in rural areas. At the same time, online platforms allow users to screen for values, lifestyles, and long-term goals before they ever met face to face, which helps many people feel that they are finding someone who is genuinely compatible. And perhaps the most surprising thing is that relationships formed online are not weaker or less stable. In fact, some of couples report a level of satisfaction equal to or sometimes even higher than those who met offline. So online dating isn't just a convenience, it's a meaningful social bridge that reshapes who become a possible partner and who quickly emotionally connect can form. But the same quality that makes online dating so powerful is scale, its efficiency, and its endless possible. Also created new psychological challenges. And that leads us directly to the next issue. What happens when there are so many choices and then making decisions feel harder or not easy? Now, everything I've said so far makes online dating sound like an overwhelming positive system, more diversity, more opportunity. But here's the story becomes more complicated. When the internet expanded our romantic possibilities, it doesn't just give us more people, it gave us more decisions. And psychological tell us something important. When we go from choosing between a new meaningful options to scrolling through what feels like endless possibilities, our brain don't actually become happier or freer. They become more anxious, more uncertain, and more overwhelmed. This is why researchers argue that modern online dating creates a new psychological environment. It is no longer just about finding someone. It's about navigating algorithm, managing comparisons, resisting distraction, and trying to form committed in space, designed to keep offering more options. So the same technology that opens doors can also quietly undermine satisfaction and stability. And that leads us directly into one of the most important concepts for understanding digital romance today, the paradox of choice. In the digital age, we have access to a huge number of potential partners. At first, this seems great. More potential partners should mean more chance to find the one. But Castro et al. Point out that too many options can cause decision fatigue. When you are constantly sweeping, comparing, and wondering if there's someone slightly better, just one more sweep away, it becomes harder to commit deeply to the person you are with. Cole et al. Found that couples who met online reported lower average levels of love and satisfaction than those who met offline. One explanation is that people keep one eye on all the other possible options, which makes them less happy with the relationship they already have. So, online dating creates new challenges for modern romance. Rapid matching mechanisms make starting relationship easier, but they can make sustainable relationship harder. Although some researchers show that the satisfaction of online dating couples are slightly higher, however, there are more researchers show that it's actually not true. It's simple to find someone to chat with. It's much harder to stay with the same person through conflict and boredom. People are also more likely to compare their partner to others and to doubt the depth and stability of relationships formed online. Questions like could I do better? Or are we serious or just talking? Become more common in this environment. And when we think about long distance relationships, the paradox of choice brings an additional layer of complexity. Long distance couples already rely heavily on digital communication to feel closer. But because so much of their relationship happens online, they are also more exposed to the same endless stream of possible partners that online dating creates. Even if someone isn't actively looking for alternatives, the constant visibility of new profiles, new messages, and new social networks can quietly influence how secure the relationship feels. Psychologically, too many options can create doubts that wouldn't exist in face to face relationships. A partner might start comparing their relationships to what they see online, or wonder whether someone more convenient or more compatible might be out there. And for long distance couples who already work hard to maintain closeness, these small questions can carry a heavily emotional weight. So, paradoxically, the same technology that makes long distance connection possible can also introduce subtle pressures. More choice can mean more comparison, more uncertainty, and more difficult. Fully investing in person who isn't physically present. The internet keeps couples connected, but it also keeps alternative constantly visible, which can challenge commitment in ways older generation of long-distance couples never had to face. So, in conclusion, across this video, we've seen that the internet has reshaped romance in several ways. For long-distance couples, digital tools create virtual companionship, shared presence, and emotional co-presence that can make distance much less painful. For people using online dating, the internet opens new social bridges, enabling relationships across different backgrounds and locations. Some online formed marriages are just as stable or even happier than offline ones. At the same time, the digital world brings risks, psychological pressures, lower satisfaction for some couples, and the paradox of having too many choice. So the internet both connects us and complicated love. It gives us new ways to stay close, when we are far apart and to meet people who never would have ever met. But it also tests our ability to commit, to trust, and to stay present with one person when thousands of other profiles are only a swipe away. Thank you for listening. I hope this talk video gave you a clearly sense of how deeply the internet is shaping our modern romantic relationships, and maybe also help us think more carefully about how we use these technologies in our own lives.